Labor Day, America, and happy Monday, everyone else. Welcome back to the Couchside Judges. I'm Scott Fontana. Follow me on Twitter at Scott_Fontana.
And I'm Dan Urban. Follow me at the Dan Urban. Follow the podcast at Couchside Judges. And subscribe to us on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, everywhere.
Everywhere. Make a new platform for us so that we can get you to subscribe to us there.
And you already know, read the criteria. Because we're talking MMA judging.
Sometimes.
Maybe a little refereeing today.
Sometimes we talk about pizza. Sometimes we talk about the fact that I'm a world-class gambler now.
Yes, I heard. I'm curious how you did that.
So for people listening at home, my wife and I decided to take an semi-impromptu trip to Atlantic City this week for a night. And incidentally, we get to our room. I got us a room at the Borgata.
Oh, ballin'.
And I post a picture of the view from the room, which was tongue-in-cheek because the view from the room is a highway and, more casinos and the things between there. And I post it, and all of a sudden, Luke Thomas, who does not follow me on social media, and I wasn't sure I was on his radar in that respect, he answers like 5 minutes later. He's like, Borgata? I'm like, yeah, how'd you know? Good eye. I was like, this is amazing.
I guess Luke's been around.
I guess he knows the Borgata view. Yeah. that was surprising. But my wife and I went out, had a nice steak dinner, very expensive. Meat was good, sides were eh.
Okay.
Morton's the steakhouse. Get the meat, don't get anything else.
All right.
So there's your tip there. But anyway, so I go gamble a little bit, and my game is typically roulette, and I play on like those real cheap tables that it's not a table. You have a screen.
The electronic with the wheel in the middle.
With the real wheel, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not in the middle anymore. It's the one at the Borgata anyway was it was like kind of a little off, and they have like different rows of seats. They can fit more on it, essentially, is what it is.
Okay.
But they also have craps, and I think you can do some other games, like they might have baccarat and some other ones as well. But they had craps there too. And I was playing roulette for a little while, and I was like up. It's $3 minimum, so I'm up a little bit. I was probably up at one point like $15, and then I left it like up $2, right? So I'm not up much. My wife goes up, we go hang up a little bit, and then she goes to sleep. I go back down because I'm not tired, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna play some more. So I played a little bit of roulette, got up a little bit, and I said, I'm gonna switch to craps. So I'm up and down on craps. End up being down $40 by the end of the night. I'm like, all right, whatever, I'll go to bed. I'm only playing with a little bit of money. I'm not a high stakes guy. So the next morning we have brunch, and I wanted to go back to the table before because I thought she was going to play, and she didn't play, my wife, at all. So I was like, all right, I'm going to put the remaining $40 I have on black. Okay. She's like, okay. And so then I start to do it, and she's like, oh, I didn't think you were really going to do it. I think she thought I was going to do like $3 on black. I was like, no. I was doing the whole thing. So I was like, we'll see how it goes. Either I get back to even or I lose. And so it hit.
Nice.
So I'm back to even. And I said, all right, well, now I can play craps. So I go back to craps. And then for the preceding half an hour, I don't lose.
Okay.
Just playing craps for half an hour without a loss.
But what did you play?
I didn't do too much more other than put $3 or $4 on 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. That's it.
So you played you placed every number.
Correct.
You didn't play a pass line.
I did it one time.
Okay, I mean that's.
And I played the cum line a little bit.
Well, the cum's a little difficult, complicated.
I know, and to be fair, I don't know the intricacies of craps even still, but I learned a little bit while I was playing. So that one I still don't understand, but I did hit it on one time, and then it ended up hitting again, and that was where I made like $30 as opposed to like $7 or $8 or $4 like I was making on my bets before. That was the big one. But anyway, I walked away having started I sat down with $40. I left with $212 actually, and 27 cents.
They let you play without playing a pass line?
Yeah.
That's weird.
Is that they wouldn't do that at a table?
No.
All right.
You'd have to put your pass line if you're going to place numbers.
No. Well, they let me do it. So, boom. Go find that table.
Yeah, all right.
You can play it.
Next time you got to play the pass. Well, the pass, I mean, I like playing the don't pass, but if you play the pass when a number hits, now you got the best odds in the house because you can put odds that are paying the true odds on it. So if you have a $5 bet, different, say they're 10x odds, so you can put $50 behind it, which is going to get paid the proper odds for when it hits. So that's how you smash them.
Sure. But I still smashed them anyway.
Well, you got them.
I mean, I recognize this was an extraordinarily rare stroke of luck where literally nothing happened wrong for me.
Mm-hmm.
Even the few times where 7 roll, I didn't lose, and I don't understand why.
But you wouldn't lose if it's, well, you would lose when it's 7, because if there's no your bets were probably down because the point was probably made, so it was probably a come out roll. When a 7 comes out, 7's good. On a come out roll, once a point's made, 7's bad.
Maybe that was what it was. Yeah,
that was probably what it was.
I probably wasn't paying enough attention because I was basically just laughing giddily as I kept on making money,
having a good time.
I was trying to get my wife to pay attention because she didn't understand at all. I'm like, at least understand what's happening right now is we're making money.
Yeah.
Like, but at a certain point, we had already like close to doubled I'd already doubled what I like started playing with. So it was like, I was really just playing with house money at that point. I'm like, this is great. Like, I should not walk away.
Didn't play any of the prop bets.
I did, I think I did 1 roll of the 7 on the come out, and that didn't hit. I did 1 on, I think it was 10, the 2 5s, the hop, right? That's a hop bet. It's one of the hop bets where you
2 5s is hard ways.
It's the hard way. Yeah,
10,
all the other ones are hops, right? Like they're all like when you bet like, okay, I'm gonna get a 2 and a 5 come up.
That
would be a hop, right? Okay, yeah. So 10 the hard way. That's what I meant to say. Yeah, hop the 4, yeah, or whatever it is.
Popular one.
All the lingo and all that stuff. Like, I'm not there yet.
It's you know what you want to do? You want to go to an actual table.
Yeah, but that's higher money, and I don't want to do that.
But then once we're running good, go to the dealer. 10 on Big Red and watch the table turn on you.
No, I don't want to do that. I want the table to like me. I want to be liked. That's the one thing I missed with this experience was the communal experience, because like there was only one other dude sitting there, and I don't know what he was playing. I don't think it was craps, because he didn't seem happy.
Okay,
but anyway, I was happy.
All right, you won,
and that took a dent out of my steakhouse. Oh my God, that bill was almost $200, and I ended up, if you apply the money I made to that, it was like a regular dinner.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
That was a good day.
What size did you get anyway?
Oh, so I got the lobster ravioli.
Okay.
Which I thought would be lobster meat contained within the ravioli.
Mm-hmm.
Was not. It was like on top, and there was a very little bit of it. Honestly, it tasted fine. It wasn't what I thought it would be, and it was $19. And I said, well, this is not worth it. Yeah. So. And also the scalloped potatoes we got a la carte, my wife and I, we were not impressed. My wife makes better scalloped potatoes. Her mom makes better scalloped potatoes.
I always judge a steakhouse on their Brussels sprouts. If the sprouts are on point, I'm happy.
I'm not a sprouts guy.
Okay.
I'll eat them, but they're not my favorite.
All right.
Yeah. But that was our show. I hope you guys liked listening to our game. No, we're going to get back to the fights here. I think we got to dive into UFC Paris. Of course.
Yeah, let's get into Paris.
We let's start with kind of some of the bigger come-overs, right? What?
Paris.
Yeah.
Yes.
Paris.
UFC Paris.
Mm-hmm. Oui. So yeah, let's start with Ciryl Gane here. Who obviously is the big winner. I think it would have been kind of a surprise for everybody if Serghei Spivac had actually won this fight, but
yeah, it'd have been really cool if Spivac fought too. He didn't.
Oh, he fought. He was.
Well, he was
takes
there.
Someone to get hit.
He was present.
You can't fight if no one's getting hit.
He was man. Some of those shots, I don't know how he was still standing. So credit to his toughness.
Yeah.
But
I mean, seriously though, Ciryl Gane looked fantastic.
He did look fantastic.
He's like the one heavyweight where I would say is the exception to my rule, where it's like you don't need to finish in that first round because he can continue to put on an impressive performance throughout rounds.
Because he's not a tough man.
No,
basically.
No, he's not. He's an athlete.
He's
an athlete. He's a combat sports athlete who isn't just. He's not just gassed. He actually can fight.
If someone had comparable skills, they could fight in any division.
Sure.
So it's
I think so.
Doesn't need power there.
I think so.
Which credit to Bilal Muhammad brought up. With how good Ciryl Gane is, just proves that John Jones is in another world.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That is absolutely fair. Although it's also the matchup of the skill. Like this was a clear deficiency on Gane's part, the wrestling, going against literally John Jones' base is wrestling. So it's tough, but it's still a fair comp. You know, I get what we're saying. there is a big difference between where Ciryl Gane is, where Jon Jones, as terms of a mixed martial artist here. But I think that everybody they asked the question, of course, because they had Tom Aspinall in the building. But I want to know what you think. Is it actually the right time for him to fight Tom Aspinall for Ciryl Gane, Tom Aspinall? Or do you want to like kind of save that just a little longer to see if that can be in the title picture?
No, let them fight. Because if they're not going to fight, then put Gane and Pavlovich together. Even though Pavlovich is the backup. They announced that.
Yes, they did.
So,
see, I would rather Pavlovich get one of those guys anyway. I would actually be more interested in that fight. Like Tom Aspinall against Pavlovich.
Yeah, I'm good with that too.
Although then what do you do with Ciryl Gane in that case? Really, we're in such a holding pattern until we actually know what comes out of Jones and Miocic in Madison Square Garden, because I could see a scenario where Jon Jones wins and both he and Stipe retire, and then we don't have either of them anymore. So now we're talking about, well, who would fight for the belt?
Yeah.
That may not come to pass either. Maybe Stipe wins. Maybe then Jon Jones gets hungry again. He says, well, now that I've actually lost, I actually want to come back and win.
Oh, no. He's not going to lose.
I'm just saying, like, if he did, let's go devil's advocate here. Let's say he did lose. Do you think he'd actually come back?
Well, someone will have to answer the question why Mazzagatti was there. That's pretty much.
Dan and I actually, after we recorded last week's episode, we rewatched Jon Jones against Matt Hamill and the finish, which neither of us had watched, I think, since we watched it probably live separately the night it happened. And both of us still feel pretty comfortable in the idea that that fight should have just been stopped before Jones is starting to throw illegal strikes.
Yeah, just stop it. Like,
it went too long.
Matt Hamill didn't need to take that beating, but I guess he's happy he did because he got a win.
It was kind of similar to, at least it felt similar to me, the way, what was the fight that was stopped in Paris? That was it went on a little while. Remind me that finish that went like a little while and then they kind of eventually stopped it.
Oh, we just watched.
We just watched it, yeah.
I don't even know who it was.
Yeah, the name is escaping me. We have to pull it up, but it kind of reminded me of that in the sense that, well, this fight's kind of over, but it's still no, it wasn't Saint-Denis and Thiago Moises, Benoit Saint-Denis.
Yeah, that was
the one. Yeah. Moises is just sitting there covering up. He's not doing anything for a while. He's just absorbing punches. It's like, oh yeah, let him take another 34 after this one.
With Bisping's great commentary. This is not intelligent defense.
It's not, and neither was what Matt Hamill was doing for that fight. But obviously, we're neither here nor there. I get it. Going back to it, so you would rather have Gane and Aspinall now? That's the fight you'd make?
I would want to include Pavlovich, but obviously he's not gonna with the chance of a title. In case someone misses weight or gets hurt, within 24 hours or whatever.
What about a three-way dance?
I'm always in for a triple threat.
Okay. Just making sure.
I like both guys. Aspinall, could they run back? Aspinall and whatchamacallit?
Curtis Blades?
Yeah.
I actually don't hate that idea. I think that would be a real good solution to the problem we have now. Ciryl Gane, Serghei Pavlovich, Tom Aspinall versus Curtis Blades. I think that makes a lot of sense. I like that.
Yeah.
Good thinking, my buddy.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
See?
You're a smart guy.
I am. I know.
And so on. But that I don't have anything to say about Serghei Spivac. He just kind of goes back to the pack.
Serghei,
he's just another guy.
After 6, it's just a drop off.
There is a distinct drop. It's true.
It's like
we want him to be a 1-round fighter.
Always, please.
He's got some skills. He really does. But it's just he's not at that level. He's just not. Moving on though to another big fight that came out of this one, of course, Manon Fiorot got the win over Rose Namajunas decision. Looked good for 2 rounds. Third round started to get a little more competitive. Didn't mean she didn't look good.
2 was pretty competitive, too.
2 was competitive as well. Yeah, I mean, Rose, I thought she at least held her own, despite the fact that she clearly was compromised with the finger and everything.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
As far as Fiorot, though, because she comes out of this with the win, this is a continuation of what we were talking about last week, because Erin Blanchfield, of course, got her big win. We said maybe we kind of have to look into what happens next week. Well, now we've got Manon Fiorot, got the win, and the way she won compared to Erin Blanchfield getting the win last week over Taila Santos and the way she won, who should be next for the title shot once everything gets clear with Grasso and Shevchenko? Well, should it be Fiorot or Blanchfield?
Did you watch that Blanchfield fight yet?
I still haven't.
Okay. So I think it should be Blanchfield.
Okay.
Hands
Why?
down.
Why?
Fiorot got weaker as the fight went on. Blanchfield got stronger.
Okay.
And that's my reasoning.
I think that's fair.
So
that makes a lot. Like I said, I haven't watched Blanchfield's fight, but that does make sense. I know the scoring went that way anyway. So, Fiorot really she got very wild by the end of the fight too. Like her strikes were just like winging punches and arms. She's usually very disciplined.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the one thing I know she kind of started to like fall apart. I don't know if she got sucked into a different type of fight or she was just getting tired. I don't know, but she didn't look the same. And I look, it's a good win over a former 2-time champion. Rose Namajunas is a great of women's MMA for sure. But yeah, I think I just didn't think it was that special a performance, you know? And would you say that Blanchfield's performance was special?
I wouldn't say it's special.
No, okay.
Just solid.
Solid, okay. Yeah. More solid, though. You were more impressed with her performance against Santos.
I was more impressed at how she got stronger
as
the fight went on.
All right. Well, I could serve her well in a 5-round fight, too.
With all aspects of the fight, too. Stand-up, ground game, clinch. She just got better as it went on.
Farod did pretty well keeping the fight up.
So, yeah.
She kept it where she wanted to. Give her credit to that. I thought Rose she's smaller, no question.
I mean, that stupid cut from the headbutt, or the clash of heads, not headbutt, I guess kind of puts a damper on things, because then they could have probably done Blanchfield versus Ciryl, to iron it out, since they haven't even had...
No, you don't want to do that, because then what do you do with the shot after that? You don't need to do that. You can give one, then the other. It's okay.
Yeah, I just don't like everyone having to wait.
You don't have to wait that long.
Yeah, with titles you do. Some women don't fight that often.
There's a championship fight in 2 weeks.
I know. After that fight, how long are they going to have to wait?
I don't know.
Depends on who's defending. 4 or 5 months, and then after that fight, now the person's got to wait again.
But at least they're on the right timeline.
Sure.
They're not on like a strange timeline. That's where you start to say, okay, that sucks. But at least now they're both fighting in the same, if not the same month, within the same 3 or 4 week period. They're on the same timeline. This works.
I like Josh Barnett's style.
Which is?
One-night tournaments, stomps, knees to downed opponents, soccer kicks.
Yeah.
Let's just go. Let's bring it back to 1990, whatever.
Yeah, don't do that, though. That doesn't actually happen.
They don't do it.
No.
They don't, but they
should.
Yeah. Maybe not the one-night tournaments, but fight more often. Let's just fight more.
There's a lot of potential for disaster with one-night tournaments in the modern mixed martial arts like mentality.
Yeah,
there's only certain people who I think would like go through that and be like, yeah, I'll keep fighting in it. Like it'll actually work out instead of them being like beat to heck.
It wouldn't happen.
Tough man.
It doesn't work anymore.
And you'll get your tough man competition.
It doesn't work anymore.
Just a bunch of heavyweights.
God, no, please.
What about Rose, though? Rose is in kind of a weird spot. She says she's done at 115. She's not going down anymore. When I spoke to her, she was saying she, really just has gotten bigger as a person and isn't really interested in that weight cut either. So there's a lot of that, too. She's at 125. She didn't look terrible.
No.
She didn't win, but she was competitive and started to gain steam as the fight went on. And she's someone who's accustomed to 5-round fights. Imagine if we had 2 more rounds of that. I don't know.
More goes on to what we discussed last week. You just got to be more 5-round fights. It just has to.
Nah, I mean, I'm with you too.
So
this realistically could have been another 5-round main event somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
she looked all right. The thing is, does she want to keep fighting? Like sometimes she goes into these spurts where she's like, not really sure I want to keep fighting.
She does, absolutely.
And
she admits that too.
Like,
she knows that she's kind of
wishy-washy.
I don't know if it's wishy-washy, but she just kind of like gets in her own head and can't get herself to do like that type of thing, So, but she seems like she's there. I don't think she put on like an odd performance. I think she just wasn't good enough on this particular night to win.
Yeah.
Whatever the finger played in that, the injured finger, who knows? But I guess the question would be, can she get to a title shot at 125? Or do you think this like kind of, you're starting to write her off at 125 and say, okay, maybe she's just like another high level, like,
I mean, I don't want to write her off,
there.
But it's going to be tough. She's not getting back to now.
But she does have the star power, and she didn't look that bad in the fight. She just didn't win, like we said.
Sure.
Who's to say maybe she doesn't get another fight in there? And what if she here? Let's make a devil's advocate here. What if she was to fight? Let's say Alexa Grasso loses. Just devil's advocate in this scenario. She loses, and they say, "Hey, why don't we do Alexa Grasso against Rose Namajunas?" And Rose wins. Where does that put her? Is she that far off at that point?
No, obviously not. No.
Yeah.
So
I can see it.
Maybe she can get there.
I think she got. Will she do it? That's the question, obviously. But I think I wouldn't rule that out. I think there are reasons the UFC would like to put her in. I think she's popular. I think people like her.
Sure.
She's a familiar face that they can put in a main event if they wanted to. Again, they probably should have here.
Doesn't even have to be. They just got to
not in France, but in general.
They just have to, make it normal that there's going to be multiple 5-round fights on cards.
That would be nice.
Like
it's way too rare still. Like it was nice that they did it like a handful of times, but it's like they're so arbitrary.
Like Diaz Edwards was the first one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have that great Nate finish if they just kept that 3 rounds.
Burns and Bilal Muhammad, that was 5 rounds. That was right here in Newark.
Yeah, that was awesome. Awesome performance by
Bilal looked good. Yeah.
Yeah. They just got to make it more often.
I would like to see that more. Fewer fights, more 5-rounders. Shrink your roster. That's what you want.
Listen, I had this thought before. It's like we're gonna be talking about Jocelyn Edwards in another split round. And it's like if you're not ranked and you're in all these close fights all the time, you just don't have it. Sorry, you just don't have it. Back in the day when you were coming up, you murdered people and you just quickly rose the rankings. Like these close unranked fights, it's like you're not going to do anything if you ever, fought someone in the rankings. It's just it's a tough truth.
Well, back in the day, we had the axe murderer and we had the natural born killer. So we did have people actually murdering people. Yeah, that day has passed, my friend.
It's long gone.
It is long gone. C'est la vie, as they say in France.
Mm-hmm.
But we do. I think you alluded to this already. We have something not like out of a big development, and it's not judging, but it is refereeing, officiating,
and adventures in refereeing.
That's right. Yes, I should have wrote that down. Good call. Yeah. That would be, of course, the way the fight between William Gomez and Yanis Gamori finished. 2 Frenchmen, by the way. It was ruled a TKO.
Right.
Went down as a TKO after referee Loic Pora, right? Did I get that right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. A self-identified French MMA pioneer, 4-3 in his career in mixed martial arts at least. Mm-hmm. Hasn't fought in 20 years, but I mean he goes back. He's OG, you know. Referee now stopped this fight because what happened was, I guess we should. I'm gonna let you set it up. You're much better at breaking down like the sequence of events than myself.
Basically, Gomez throws a front kick, teep type kick, and it lands right on the waistline.
It's like a little below the waistband.
Like so his toe. Like if you're in boxing, like when they have their names on the front of the trunks, it hits the name basically.
Yeah, probably
a little bit closer to the hip, so it's off to the side, but you can see the shorts right up a little bit, and the side of the foot hits the cup or makes contact with the cup.
Right.
Gamori,
he kind of bends over.
He doubles over, and then Loic is like, "No, keep fighting." And both guys went their separate ways. And he's like, "All right, whatever.
I'm done."
Fight's over.
Waves it off. Yeah.
All right. Guess we're done here.
Mm-hmm.
And then as they show us all the slow motion replays, and it's like, yeah, the toes land legal, but the rest of the foot doesn't. It lands on the cup a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So by rule, that is a low blow. Shouldn't have been stopped.
My hope is that there's something that they can do here to maybe go no contest route retroactively. It's different. I mean, they're in France. The French have a commission. I don't know how involved the UFC gets with that, because sometimes they will assist, especially with newer commissions.
Here's my thing. I understand Loic waved it off, said it's over. It was a legal strike. There was a replay official who said it was low.
Yeah.
If Loic was hit low, he still has 5 minutes to use whatever. I don't understand why you can't just restart.
I think what happened was because it's already waved off, that's like the end.
But why? Why?
Why can't it be reversed at that point?
Exactly. What?
I think what happens is you get the wheels in motion, and then corners start doing different things. The other corner is able to give their fighter water. They're able to do all this other stuff that you would not be able to do in the event that it was actually paused for just the foul. It does change the dynamic.
You can fix that.
How do you fix it?
Any questionable, like, wave it off, and there's just the dispute, just instant. Just stop. Corner, no coaching, neutral corner. You go here. Let's go to replay.
Well, it should have been handled a little differently here. Yeah, obviously we had a situation where the fighter seemed to think he was hit low. Now, obviously the referee didn't see it that way, right? But maybe in such scenarios we can err on the side of caution, knowing we have a replay official. go to said replay official. Let them sort it out for you. We don't need to figure that out. We've got a situation where neither fighter wants to engage at this moment.
Mm-hmm.
So let's sort it out.
Yeah,
I think it just wasn't handled in the best way, unfortunately. I'm not as familiar with Loic Porras as a referee. I only know the little bit I shared about his MMA career because I Googled him real quick today. I don't want to say anything negative about him as an official. These things can happen. These things happen in MMA.
But it's just like they don't have to recreate a position. They're both standing. They can treat it like a normal low blow. And I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, it does change.
The fighter, now he's in his corner. The corner's coach, and he's giving him water. Blah, 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 blah.
It's not even coaching. They're done. They've moved on. Just the fight is waved.
I know. Just stop. Pause for a minute.
But they stopped before. That's the problem. Like once you've gone, there's a point of no return.
There's also should be. I mean, every major sport has manager initiated replay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, why not us?
But also, when they call off a game, when they say a game is over, they don't bring the game back.
Yes, they do. If it was the third out of the ninth inning, and then you get overturned, it's like, no, come on back.
Yeah, but they
call teams back out from the dugout.
It's a little different in baseball because there's no clock.
But you know where the clock stopped, though. Clock stopped.
We could probably talk in circles about this one all day, but I think the point would be, at least for me, is that it probably could have been handled a little better, a little cleaner. Hopefully,
and there could be things in place that helps handle it better.
I agree. But again, I don't know what you can do once the fight is actually waved off. I think it's really incumbent on the referee to just kind of
feels kind of arbitrary.
Use their heads up and say, hey, we've got a replay official. Why don't we just defer to this person? Give me a little more information. He's the sole arbiter, as John Gooden mentioned on the broadcast, and that is true.
Yeah. Sole arbiter,
but the sole arbiter can also lean.
I got a problem with that too.
All right, what do you got?
I'm not going to get into it. He's the sole arbiter. He makes all the decisions. There's no checks, no balances. What are we doing?
Well, that's what
I got a little issue.
There are checks and balances. That's that's when they go over things after the fights. That we never hear about.
The fight.
Yeah.
All right.
That are always behind closed doors.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, in some states and in some commissions,
yeah.
But in very special circumstances, and not always. Anyway, I think that's probably all we had to start it off. I think we can get to the rounds. We don't have too many rounds, because for our unanimity report here, 16 out of 19 rounds were scored unanimously among the judges. 84.2%, nice percentage. There are no 8-9 splits, so we're only talking about winners today.
No 8-9 splits, yeah.
No 8-9 splits. We've got 3 rounds to discuss, and none of them were like pivotal in terms of determining the outcome of the fight. But I think we have to start with Losa, right? Ange Losa. Getting the win over Reese McKee. Very popular over in Europe and the UK. But he did lose this one. 29-28 twice for Losa and a 30-27. So we're split on round 3. We already know going into this, well, people with scorecards know that Losa is bound to win this, barring, a reversal of fortune, right? Let's talk about round 3.
Yeah, round 3. We shouldn't be talking about round 3, but we are.
We are.
In the beginning of the round, it's pretty clear it's Losa. Takes him down. He lands some ground and pound, an elbow here, a couple punches here and there. It's clear he's winning. On the feet, McKee is doing a little bit better than he has been in the previous rounds.
After this point, he gets back
after and then all of a sudden, McKee is just hurt. Like he gets hit with a punch and he dives in for a takedown. It looks kind of sloppy, like almost desperate a little bit on his knees. Works to his feet, and then McKee just throws him, and he's got no balance whatsoever. He's all over the place, and McKee just starts teeing off on him. Good shots. You can tell he's hurt for like the final 40 seconds of the round. This is an easy call, McKee. I think it's crazy to score this one for Losa.
The only effective offense that reaches a high degree in this round comes from McKee. The bar that if you imagine like a bar graph of like damage accrued, I would think that Losa gets to I don't know, maybe like an inch or 2 off the ground, and then you've got McKee that's probably double that or more. And all of his offense did come in. Yeah, what was the last
minute
or so? Yeah. It's obvious to me that this is a McKee round based on everything we talk about on this show, and we have been talking about on this show for years now. And the only thing that I can imagine that if they tried to make the argument for, and this is a faulty argument because it doesn't really fly with modern judging, if Krzysztof Chapui, the judge who gave this one to Losa, said to himself, well, the majority of the round was in the grappling phase, and Losa was winning while it was down there, then I guess that's what you do. But that's beyond flawed. It makes no sense in 2023 to do it that way. So I'm speculating. I have no idea what this official was thinking to give this round to Losa. But if I'm trying to apply some form of logic, that's how I got there. Because I can't think of any other reason. There's no justification to give this round to Losa instead of McKee. There's not.
Yeah. Thank God it didn't matter.
Yes, yeah, like we said, it really did not make a difference.
But this is a bad score.
And this isn't like a situation where it's like, oh, you just missed one punch or something like that. I could see how that turned the round. He was in a bad way for a whole minute. And the whole last minute, too. And the gall of any fighter, whoever sits there and says, or any coach or anybody who sits there and says, give him a late takedown, maybe to sway the round. This whole thing happened in the last minute. If that didn't sway the round, your little takedown's not going to do anything. Just give up on that notion.
I mean, at one point, McKee's got his back turned. He's jogging away while he's eting punches.
Yeah, he was not competitive for a little while in this round.
Just really strange.
He wasn't like the degree of damage. Like it really didn't reach any like degree I would even think of like a 10.8.5 or something like that. It just was clear to me.
Just a clear round.
It's so clear because nothing that happens before that final minute says to you, well, Losa's got this locked up. It's going to be hard for McKee to take it back.
Well, he was definitely ahead.
Yes.
But not by a lot.
Not by a high degree. That's my point. Like, there's a very clearable bar that Losa is ahead at. And it gets surpassed in a big way. And it's very disappointing to see a score like this. And unfortunately, too, this is the same judge we were talking about from last year, who scored a 10-10, excuse me, right?
Scored a 10-10 in William Gomez versus Jarno Aarons.
William Gomez is in the center of all this stuff, man. I think it's him.
It could be.
He's setting this. He's the one who's making all this happen. So, but yeah, this is it's. We don't see this judge too often. I believe he's a French judge. So pretty much when the UFC goes to France, that's when we'll see Krzysztof Chapui. We're going to have to remember that next year when we come to Paris because it's starting to be. I feel like it technically two is a coincidence. I guess the way some people like to phrase it, but I'm already. We're gonna have to watch this and make sure.
Well, to the list it goes.
To the list it goes. Yeah,
and,
I don't even know this.
I think probably the top of the list.
I don't know. We have to see.
Off the top of my head, I think it's close to the top of the list. So
I'm sure it's close to the top, but I don't know.
It's at the top.
We'll have to see.
I'm just declaring it to the top.
We've got a few months to figure that out.
We do.
We'll get there. We'll get there. The judges who got this, and I'm going to say that's the wrong score. I'm going to say that to score this one for Losa here is wrong. So the judges who got it right in this case were David Leatherby and Daryl Ransom.
Two of the best.
Two of the best. Two working out of the UK. Good, fine officials from the UK. Let's move on to a less controversial round.
Less controversial, but some people had some comments.
Oh, people always have their comments, don't they? Yeah. Manuel Ferro got the win, like we said, over Rose Namajunas. The scores were 29-28 twice and 30-27, so identical to the way Losa won. And it's the same thing here. We have a round at the end, round 3. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, like I mentioned, of course, we just can't get through a Jocelyn Edwards fight without having a back-and-forth wild round.
We're not talking about Jocelyn Edwards.
Yes, we are. Nora Cornhole and Jocelyn Edwards. Is that what we're talking about?
I just said Manuel Ferro and Rose Namajunas, dude.
Oh, I was already ahead.
No, that's all right.
In front of that one.
That's all right. That just shows you don't listen.
I was ahead. I was getting prepared.
That's all right.
Yeah, all right. So Rose and Manon, good competitive round. Both landed pretty good. I think Fiorot didn't land as strongly outside of that one flurry later in the round where she kind of just started swinging for the fences, it seemed a bit. Before then, her shots just seemed to be touching, nothing much behind it. I thought Rose's left hand was landing solid throughout, had good leg kicks throughout. I definitely see the case both ways. Very close round, but I scored for Rose.
Yeah, super close. I would go the same way you did, but there's no reason you couldn't give this one to Manuel Ferro.
Yeah, it's fine.
It doesn't matter either because again we have Ferro is up 2-0 on all the cards, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Plus, at the end,
you still want to score it right, but we're not. We should be up in arms over something that legitimately was close and legitimately didn't impact the result.
Rose had some good heavy ones towards the end of the round too.
She did.
That probably helped me get there. So
that's why I don't think she was too she's small. Like you could tell she was smaller than Manon Ferrell here, but she wasn't too small.
Mm-hmm.
She just wasn't. The skill can win out, and it wasn't her night for sure. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't write her off in a rematch, and I definitely wouldn't write her off in a 5-round rematch.
Yeah, for sure.
So no, but again, I scored it your way. Same as you, same as Sal D'Amato, who took the flight over to France for this one, and Anders Olsen. So we ended up seeing it the other way from Daryl Ransom, who scored this one for Rowe. This is a very rare Daryl Ransom out round, actually, at the UFC level. I think it's only the second outscore he's had in the UFC. He's typically been in lockstep, so it happens. He's terrible. Get him out of there. Terrible judge. Just kidding. Now we can move on.
I can move on.
You can't wait to talk about this round. You wanted to get to it even when I was talking about something else. Nora Cornell.
I just want it over with.
Cornell, right?
Yeah, Cornhole.
Mm-hmm. Like the game.
Yep.
The beanbag.
You know people call it bags?
No, I've never heard it called bags.
Yeah, apparently that's the more popular name is bags.
It can't be because there's an actual league.
Well, I know it's called the Cornhole League, but so many people call it bags.
No, I've never heard that. I used to call it beanbag toss when I was a kid. That's just what I thought it was. People started calling it cornhole, and I thought it was like an inappropriate name. I didn't really understand. I was like, am I allowed to say that? Can I say it to my mom?
Beavis says it.
Yeah, well, that's different. But yeah, she got the win over Jocelyn Edwards. 30-27 twice and a 29-28. We're at least talking about round 2 here. So we're not just talking about a foregone conclusion. Doesn't matter what happened in the round. We're still talking about something that has some meaning to the result potentially. What happened in round 2?
Oh, okay, whatever.
Dan loves this one.
Wild back and forth round.
Stop it.
Cornell's landed some good shots on the feet, but then she gets taken down with the classic headlock takedown you see in women's fights. Edwards lands a couple shots, not much. Cornell gets up. She's taken back down. Back up, back down again. But this time, Cornell actually works around Cornell. I'm trying to keep saying Cornell. Cornell works around to the back, gets the back late, lands a couple punches. I do think she takes it. But really, I don't care. Who cares?
Well, we care. This round wasn't interesting.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't. There was not a whole lot of big action to score here. Things happened, but not to a high degree. And it fulfilled the prophecy that I had laid out last week of us talking about a Jocelyn Edwards versus Nora Cornell round. I saw it like you did. I gave it to Cornell. Could you give it to Edwards? Sure. I almost did. I really did. But also, it just wasn't that interesting around. So unfortunately, so we agreed though with the majority though. This was the same way that judges Ben Cartledge and Damian Gluski, a judge whose name I'm not as familiar with. I'm not sure where Judge Gluski is from, but Clemens Werner was the one who was out on this one. So for Edwards, that's fine, no problem.
Okay, yeah, whatever.
I'm sure on to the next one. When next time we get to talk about a Jocelyn Edwards fight,
sure,
we'll probably have her here too.
Yeah, I mean, if there is another one, I guess. No, she lost. Maybe there won't be another one. Are you
rooting against her?
I am. I'm not rooting against her. I'm just win clear.
No, that's
or lose
fair.
clear.
That's fair. She is in way too many rounds where there's not distinctive action happening, and it's obviously hurting her career because she's in these fights that may not go her way. Put more of a stamp on it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's easier said than done. I'm just sitting here, right? I'm keyboard warrior practically in that sense, but it's just the way things get done. That's when we watch other fighters. That's how they do it.
That's the point I'm making. When you're constantly in these prelim fights with lower level talent, and you're in all these close fights, you just don't got it. It's over.
She might not.
You just don't have
kind of a fringe talent. Yeah,
that's it.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's fair. But that is it for the rounds. That's all we had. We've had a lot of these long shows with a bunch of rounds lately. This was an easier one. We did have 6 finishes on this one. 4 of them by KO or TKO. 2 were submissions. 3 fights ended in the first round. What'd you like best?
Farah Basharat arm triangle over Cledson Rodriguez. So.
Mm-hmm. Rodriguez.
Mm-hmm. Cledson Rodriguez.
Mm-hmm.
He you can tell he had it locked in. Once he passes, it's like almost an instant tap.
And Rodriguez sitting there saying, "Yes, I admit that this will kill me if you don't get off this." Yeah,
this will kill me. I will succeed. What is it? I will concede the round to you. Let's restart round 2.
That's right. Yes, the crazy idea from whoever it was that was talking to us on social media. I can't even remember anymore.
I forget, but it drives me nuts.
I know you've not let that one go.
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
For me though, my favorite was definitely Ciryl Gane. He really, like, the overall performance for sure, but like even at the end, like the killer instinct comes out and he's just pouring it on. He was patient for a while, but he knew at the end, he's like, okay, this guy can't take it anymore, so I'm going to unleash.
That one shot where Spivac is covered up and he's like, and he just like Hulk smashes him in the face through the guard. And it's like, yeah, okay, Ciryl Gane's pretty angry right now. He's over this fight. He wants to get out of here.
Yeah, he wanted to put a stamp on it for his fellow Frenchmen. I understand. You got to put on a show for the fans at home, and they like him. They're big fans. I mean, the French crowd really came out for their guys and their gals.
Yeah, they were lively from the start. That's the one thing I wish the Vegas crowd, all these comp tickets that sit on the floor don't show up till 11:30 for the final 2 fights of the night. It drives me nuts.
My understanding from talking to people I know in media is that Las Vegas really doesn't care that much. They just don't.
The locals?
There are some who certainly do, but it's not as much like I think Dana White used to refer to them as kind of like, oh, we're Las Vegas's home team, and I don't think they see it like that. At least the people who live in Vegas.
So since fights are there so often, it's just like, oh, there's fights tonight. You want to go watch the fights? Whereas it's in France, it's once a year, and they get amped up for it.
I think it's a rare treat for people in other places where the product doesn't go very often. When it's in Vegas all the time, even forget the Apex. The Apex shows are probably too priced out for most people. But like even pay-per-view, they have enough pay-per-view fights there in Las Vegas, so it's easy to just not get that invested. I'm not in Vegas, right?
So it's one of many options for the night.
That's the other thing. There are a lot of options in Vegas now. They now have 2 professional sports teams. A few years ago, they didn't have any. They got the Raiders. They got the Golden Knights, the NHL champions. There's other distractions. They might have some other things that go on in Vegas too. I'm not sure.
Right, but my point is,
it stays there, so I don't know.
My point is, these people that don't watch every card. Or there's people that do watch every card that go to,
but they watch from home.
That love these fights that in Vegas, and they're there. Maybe they're all the way in the upper deck.
Sure,
that's what they can afford.
There are certainly fans like that.
Why can't they sit down there until the person you gave free tickets to shows up?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think the UFC would be better off doing that, but also they got your money anyway. It doesn't really matter.
It's just annoying.
They just don't care. They had your money. They don't need to do anything more for you.
Because I'm going to hate at UFC 300 when Jim Miller's fighting there and there's going to be no one on the floor seats. It's going to drive me insane.
I think people might show up earlier for a big show like that, but we'll see. I've been wrong
I don't
before.
have faith.
Yeah, you're probably right too. Well, that's it for this weekend. We can look ahead now to the next weekend. Would you say I'm going out on a limb to call this the least anticipated UFC pay-per-view of the year?
What time does it start?
It's normal time for us.
Normal time for us. Okay.
Yeah, this is a normal one. It's technically a day ahead in terms. It'll be happening Sunday in Australia when Israel Adesanya goes against Sean Strickland, defending the middleweight title. But it is, I think they're like 14-hour difference or something along the lines of that. I can't remember. So it takes place like earlier in the day over there, but it'll be the same time for us.
Yeah, I mean the main card is pretty weak.
It's super weak.
The main event's pretty weak with Sean Strickland being the one who getting the shot.
Yeah,
but you still got Izzy.
Yes.
So
he's the attraction.
Yeah.
But is it enough to say I want to watch Israel Adesanya go against an inferior title challenger?
I mean, if you
and I do think he is an inferior title challenger because let's face it, he didn't beat anybody of note in his last 2 fights. Like Nasruddin Imavov was the better win than over Abas.
Yeah.
Magomedov, he was totally unheralded. At least Imavov had put together a decent little run in the UFC to get to this point. But also he was at the very low end of the rankings in the middleweight division, which is not the most impressive divisions to begin with.
Yeah, I guess if you're looking forward to Izzy styling on someone.
If that's what you're looking for, you might be in for a treat. That's
possible.
Fine. And that's what I would expect to happen. I don't really give Sean Strickland a whole lot of pathways to win. This would honestly be one of the most shocking upsets in UFC history.
You know what? I would be jaw. My jaw would still be on the floor.
I think, yeah, and I think that would be fair because no one should look at like how is Sean Strickland going to win this? He's going to win on points. Is he going to knock out Adesanya? Is he going to submit him? I mean, the only that would make the most sense to me is a submission, but even that I don't really see.
Yeah, I mean, he's not. I don't see him being able to, outpace Izzy without getting knocked out.
Adesanya is harder to get down than a lot of people, I think, realize. Yeah. I think every few fights we forget that he's actually really good at staying on his feet.
If Yoel Romero didn't take him down, but he also fought really weird that fight.
That one. It's best.
I guess it's best not to. Yeah,
let's forget that.
Not a fair way to put it there.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, I guess Carlos Olberg and Down Jung might be a fun fight on the prelims.
Okay, is that Down Jung is the Iron Turtle, right?
No, that is
Who's the Iron Turtle?
No, I'll have to Google it for you.
Thank you.
But he's not the Iron Turtle. The Iron Turtle is Jun Young.
That's right, Jun Young Park. Thank you. Good call. No, that's fine. That one's fine. I like the Tai Tuivasa Alexander Volkov co-main. It's not a good pay-per-view co-main, but I do feel like
I hope we get a shoey.
I think something fun will happen. I don't know if we'll have a shoey or not, but look, Tuivasa hits. He knows how to fight like a heavyweight. He typically fights like a heavyweight.
He fights like a heavyweight, and we appreciate that.
And Alexander Volkov can bring some violence too. I would be very disappointed if this fight went more than 8 minutes because I just don't see that actually happening. But
I'd actually be shocked if it got out of the first.
Yeah, me too. But I'll give him a grace period. Volkov's a smart fighter. I think he could take it a little deeper and still do well. Because he's not a tough man either.
Volkov isn't. No.
Yeah. Ty's a little bit of a tough.
Ty's a headbanger.
A little bit, and I think he wears it with pride to some degree. Mm-hmm. Manel Kopp is on this card. Hopefully,
hopefully.
I very distinctly put that on the notes because I needed to remember. Oh, that's right. He never makes it to the fight, and it's not his fault. Usually, it's the other guy. So,
he was supposed to fight Kai Kara France.
Yeah, Kai had to pull out. Which would have made this card a little bit more interesting.
Yeah.
It would have been a more interesting fight, especially because Kai is coming off of that fight that a lot of people said, oh, he should have won. He won't be in this one. He got hurt, right?
Concussion,
yeah. That's but yeah, so Kopp is going against Felipe Dos Santos is the sort of semi short notice opponent change. It wasn't last week, but it was the last few weeks.
Another undefeated fighter coming in to make their UFC debut.
Mm-hmm. We'll see how Kopp does. Jamie Malarkey against John Makdessi. I like that fight too.
Yep.
Malarkey brings it a lot.
Yep.
Makdessi's been in there a long time. He can bring it, and he likes to keep it up oftentimes on the feet.
And
it'll be fun.
And a favorite of a lot of people, Jack Jenkins is on the card too.
Jack Jenkins. I do kind of remember him. He fought in like June, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He last fought against Jamal Emmers.
I think that was the one where I was at the wedding that weekend. That was in Vermont.
Yeah, it was another split decision.
A few weeks ago,
we talked about.
We did. That's right. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I forgot that was him.
He's fighting Chepe Mariscal.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't know that name.
All right.
But he does have one UFC win over a Trevor Peek on the same card.
Okay.
I think that was a crazy fight, actually.
I don't remember.
I think that was wild. His nickname's Machine Gun. You gotta love that. Just get wild. Don't stop shooting.
What if his nickname was Machine Gun and his entire strategy was hold him down for 5 minutes each round?
I would take his nickname from him. Refuse to call him that.
I think it'd be great if we had a fighter who was like the Wild Man, and they did all this like crazy hype stuff like before the round started, and then immediately they go for a takedown and just hold them down in guard.
It's almost kind of like what Sean Strickland is.
No, Sean Strickland, he likes to keep it standing and box up his face so that he doesn't get hit by anything.
Listen, I said this years ago in, I think it was Gilbert Melendez versus Jorge Masvidal, maybe, in Strikeforce.
Yeah, I kind of remember the fight.
It was just, I think because it was about, people were mad about a lay and pray fight. And then it's like, well, throwing the same 1-2 for 5 minutes is pretty boring as well.
To be fair, Masvidal couldn't stop it.
Yeah, I know, but it's just
at that point, he was not the same fighter. if he fought with that mentality that he had in many fights later on, not even every fight, but in many fights, I think he would have done better in that fight. But as far as the most likely for contested rounds, which I hit on last week with Jocelyn Edwards, this one's a little trickier. There are no women's fights on this card, so can't default to a women's fight, which is often the better go-tos. So I did go with a heavyweight fight. Justin Tafa going against Austin Lane. I feel like I'm just trying to will this into a first round finish.
Okay.
That's what I'm really trying to do.
That's fair.
So the worst case scenario is this is, well, no, there's really no worst case scenario. We get a finish or we have to talk about a round. Although it could be a terrible round. The worst case scenario is all 3 rounds that we have to talk about. That's the worst. So I'm like extra right. I don't want to be extra right.
I'm gonna put my prediction. We're gonna be talking about Blood Diamond and Charlie Radke
For contested rounds?
For contested rounds.
Okay. Okay.
Got a debut fighter.
Michael Mathetha?
Yeah. 3-2 MMA fighter.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm thinking.
No, I'm thinking that one's going to be a finish. An early finish.
Hopefully.
Killer be killed kind of deal.
I don't want to.
It's not going to go long.
I don't want to say this because it might,
you're trying
come to
you don't
fruition.
want to jinx it.
I don't want to jinx it. But if we get another Izzy fight where he kind of fights weird, maybe another one we're talking about, like what he did with Yoel.
That we might for contested rounds. I see what you're saying.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not. Let's knock wood on that one, right?
All right, that does it. We'll be back again to discuss UFC 293 on Monday.
Monday.
Yeah, why did I get the days confused? I don't know why.
Yeah, we usually do that.
Yeah.
We've had some kind of ups and downs lately because of travels and things in the last couple of months, but I think we're kind of back to regulated.
Back to Mondays.
Yeah.
All right, thanks for listening.
Take care, everyone.